Welcome on in to Booby's World, right here on the Big Play Network. I'm Nick Padone with the man himself, back in the land after a couple weeks hanging out in L.A. Daniel, Booby Gibson, what is going on? Welcome back in the studio.
Hey, it's playoff time, man. If it's one thing that can get your boy back in the city, it's playoff energy. It's intense basketball. So I'm back, man. I'm looking forward to some playoff hoops.
Yeah, playoff hoops are here. You know we're going to talk about it today on the show. We're going to give you guys the biggest topics, storylines, get you ready for that Cavs first-round matchup against the Orlando Magic. We're also going to hit you with some of the top storylines from elsewhere around the league. We got playoffs going. Round one is always crazy because you got a lot of teams in there now.
Yeah.
Then we're going to do
a lot of new blood.
A lot of new blood, too. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. We're going to do Booby for three. Today, we're going to rank the top three remaining teams in the NBA right now. So stay tuned for that list. And then we're going down memory lane, playoff time with Booby.
You see a few memories.
Got a couple memories that I could definitely think of. You see this WNBA draft, though. I feel like a lot of people were tuned into that this past week.
That was probably the highlight of my week. Like watching those girls go up there. And for me, just seeing the WNBA reach a level to where, like, all the fans are tuned in, the viewership is going up. And for me, like, I've been seeing a lot of chatter about the Caitlin Clark salary. But I think we got to understand, even when the NBA first started, they weren't making millions. You know what I mean? Not to say the WNBA just started, but just to say that it can grow. And I just don't like how some of the elder statesmen, if you will, in the WNBA be kind of hating on her.
Yeah.
When she's going to bring in a big boost in revenue and get all these girls paid, why would you be mad at the fact that that's happening?
No, so why do you think that is? Because I feel like when in the NBA, like, let's take a look at, like, the current NBA, like LeBron James, Steph Curry, the biggest stars in the game, they're always showing love to the next generation.
Yeah, but I will say this. When Bron came in, they were hating a little bit. They was hating. I remember watching some of them Cavalier interviews, and a few of those guys were like, well, you're going to have to come here to prove it. That's kind of what Diana Taurasi is doing. And it's almost like you don't want them to come in and just get all the love right away, but that's the competitor part about it. Talk about that on the floor.
Yeah.
See her on the court and then make her prove it on the floor. But when we talking about getting fans in the seats and bringing people out to watch the games, which will mean more sponsors and more money for these girls to be able to take care of their family, if I were them, I would put the battery in her back and just support anybody that's giving Caitlin Clark love.
For sure. I was looking, like, just to give people a general scope of, like, the Caitlin Clark impact right now. You could look at ticket prices for the WNBA last year. Indiana Fever versus Chicago, where Angel Reese just got picked up.
Listen, I'm getting season tickets right now for the Chicago Sky. For real, my girl, I'm drawing a blank, but she just got on the coaching staff from Love and Hip Hop. Really good friend of mine. And then they just got Angel Reese over there, too. I told you last week I'm a big fan of hers.
Yep.
So even me, I'm finna go get me some season tickets.
Dude, well, now you're going to be paying a pretty penny for that because last year you could get into the arena, like, you know, get-in price was like $12. Get-in price to watch Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese in the NBA this summer. I think they play for the first time in June in the WNBA. Like $200 to sit all the way up top, where it was like $12 last year. Yeah. So it's a new era. It's a new era.
Yes, and I love it for them. I love it for them. And what I feel like in this era, this is my camera. Ladies, come out. Ladies, come out and support them. I feel like if the women just flood these arenas with love and pack these seats, y'all will show y'all impact on that game, and it'll be undeniable at that point. I feel like the WNBA will take off from there.
Absolutely, and we got to keep, too, because obviously the game is growing. You know, we've had more stars in the WNBA just get drafted now than we've ever had. We got to hold the owners accountable, too, because Caitlin Clark is getting the owners a good chunk of change. So we got to make sure when they go to the table for these collective bargaining agreements, imagine the NFL or the NBA, if there was a star like Caitlin Clark making the same salary as your local accountant over here at Key Bank, people would be a little bit mad at Commissioner Adam Silver, a little bit mad at Roger Goodell. So we got to make sure that that they start to slowly get compensated more as more fans start to pack these arenas, as the TV ratings continue to go up. So we got to make sure.
To your point, that's how it happens, though. When they have these meetings and these TV networks come in and want to see these girls play, that's where the bucks come in. That's why I say the other girls should just be in full support of anybody that's showing love to the WNBA, because it's hot right now. It's the hottest ticket of the summer, and I will be in the building a lot. Vegas, LA, Chicago, and Dallas for sure.
All right. I love it. Stay with us. We got more Booby's World right after this. We're getting you guys ready for the Cavs first round, talking all things NBA playoffs with Booby. Don't go anywhere. More Booby's World right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. Cavs versus Magic.
Yeah.
I know that's a familiar series for you over there, Booby.
Yeah, we spoke about it. It's still a sore spot for me, so I will say I'm looking forward to the Cavs doing some work out here. I feel like it's set up for them to really show what they're capable of doing, right? This is a matchup that I feel like we're young, but we actually have the experience advantage over a team in a playoff series. And I feel like we're ready to showcase what we can do. I just think it's time. I think the guys are hungry. I've been seeing them on the practice floor locked in. They've gotten 5 days to heal up all those injuries and get their bodies ready to go. So I think Saturday will be a fun night.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a fun day because it's early game.
Yeah, early game to start, and then some prime time. What is it like in the days leading up to a playoff series, right? Especially now, it feels weird that we have the play in, so some of those teams are still active, but then teams like our Cavs, they're just kind of hanging out for about a week.
Yeah.
That's got to be kind of weird.
I feel like it's for some teams in the past, they've gotten that extra long layoff, and that's when the rush starts to kick in.
Yeah.
But when you can get 3 or 4 days for you guys to kind of lock in and understand what the playoffs is about, you have those conversations, and you have some of those heated practices where some of the coaching staff is on the floor as Paolo Banchero, and now you get to scheme against these guys, and it's just a level of attention to detail and intensity that happens in the playoffs, and you feel it. You feel it in the media rooms. You feel it in practice. And so when you walk in the gym and you see those T-shirts sitting on the gym on the seats, the popcorn's popping. You can smell it a little bit more. Playoff energy is different, and it makes me want to get out there and shoot some threes. Just talking about the feeling of getting ready for that game, but it's an intense feeling, and it's what you work for that whole summer and what you build up for all year.
Absolutely. Hey, man, a guy that you just named there, Paolo Banchero, obviously the superstar over there in Orlando. Dude just turned 21 years old this season. The future is so bright for him. Averaged over 22 points per game, 7 rebounds a game, 5.5 assists. How do the Cavs slow down Paolo in this series, Booby?
I believe we got a few guys to throw at him, and then we got those towers waiting on him at the rim.
Yeah.
One thing about it, I know Ice is not going to back down from a challenge, and we've been putting Ev out there guarding on the perimeter. I don't know which matchup we'll go with as a team, but I do feel like we have the bodies, we have the length to affect them on the perimeter and inside. And I mean, what did we finish, about 7th? I'm not sure what we finished as defensive rating, but I think this year, like all JB coach teams, we'll be ready defensively. It's just going to be, are we going to bring the fight, or are we going to let them hit us first?
So, man, let's talk about that too, because that was the thing that we've been talking about all season long, was the moves that they made over the summer prepared them for this moment. Yeah. But how do you make sure that you're the one that makes the move first, that is more physical, so that we don't have a repeat of New York last year? Because I think that's what so many people are afraid of, especially when this series flips to Orlando.
I hear it in your voice. I hear it.
People are worried, man, because especially when we go to Orlando, like that game 3 against the Knicks is fresh, Booby. Like, I mean, it was embarrassing.
Yeah, I feel you, but see, that's where the casuals, right? Like I'm hearing you, and you didn't experience walking into a New York Knicks arena one year and then have a year to prepare and then be walking into it that next year. So you got to understand. I feel like there's chatter. These guys have been working that whole time, and now they're going into this game like I said last year, with experience now. So you hope that you go through that, you have those moments, you take those moments into the summer, you prepare for a season, and now you come back ready for war. And I feel like that's what the guys are going to do. So if we're talking about the process, we're talking about building this thing out, this is step 2, step 3 of that process, of said process. And I think we'll be ready to step up to the challenge. I'm not worried at all.
Yeah, and a big piece of the process, too, I saw so many people, seemed upset that the Cavs were in the playoffs. People were upset the last game of the regular season because the Cavs were playing a little bit of a positioning game. Yeah. They wanted to try to avoid Philly. They wanted to avoid Miami. And they probably preferred Orlando when they sat some of the guys. It's all speculation. Yeah. But so here's where the speculation
you said it like it was facts.
Well, here's where so it was speculation. And here's where the speculation got so crazily out of control, right? Is because people were then saying, well, the Cavs are telling us that they only care about getting out of the first round, because then you were looking at Boston round 2, right. And that's obviously really tough.
So that just tells me that it's all speculation. Like, everybody just, at the end of the year, everybody set guys. You know what I mean? The Warriors said Steph, and, everybody set guys. So whether it's injuries or whatever, I feel like nobody, even if we tried to play it a certain type of way, you didn't know who was going to win or who was going to lose. You know what I mean? So I don't put too much into it. To your point, I think you just show up and get out there and play. But I did hear the noise. I did hear people overthinking, as fans should do and tend to do all the time. But again, I just get back to who we are and what we're building as a franchise.
Yeah, and so here's my thing too, right? Like, that's not even the worst thing in the world. Like, people are starting to already talk about round 2. And I know the way that you guys prepare and the way that you guys think about things. You're thinking about game 1 of round 1 right now. Like, no thinking about round 2. Like, that's the natural progression of how things work in the NBA, guys, is you have to get out of round 1. And this is no slouch of an opponent in the Orlando Magic. Like, some of these games are going to be battles, and you can't just, be mad about who they might be matched up with round 2 because they lost the season finale. Like,
they can be. You know what I'm saying? This is what fans do, right? That's the beauty of sport. You talk about it, you argue about it, and then you still got to lace them up and watch your team face whoever they're going up against. So that's kind of like where we are now, where everybody's said what they had to say, and we even up here throwing opinions around, and at the end of the day, we're going to have to show up tomorrow and figure out what we going to do, regardless of if we the 1st seed or the 10th seed. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And I'm just excited. I'm excited for these kids to grow up in front of our eyes, show that growth, and really get out there and just have some fun. Because that's really what the teams that win in the playoffs, where they don't get caught up in the moment and feel like they got to do too much. They just kind of get out there and play that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, play loose, we saw that so much. I think back, obviously your Cavs were a fun bunch.
We taking pictures before the game. Everybody's high-fiving because at the end of the day, everybody want to make it bigger than what it is, because it is playoffs and you can't go home, but it's still basketball. Still everything that you've worked on for that whole year. So if you can get into a place where it's fun again, while everybody else worried about, if I miss this shot, we're gonna if you can get out there and have fun, that's how I feel like my rookie year was successful, because I wasn't thinking about the pressure. I was like, let's just hoop.
Yeah, and it was, and you could tell, we're just watching those teams, that you guys were just having fun with it, and it wasn't too much pressure at all.
It's a little more fun when you got King James, the first one to run out the tunnel, but it's cool.
For sure, man. I want to ask you this too, from a Coach Booby perspective. Mm-hmm. How deep would you go into a bench? Because that's another thing that kind of the casuals don't really understand come playoff time. Right. Is they go super tight on these rotations, and some of these guys that gave you regular season minutes and had some really fun moments, you're gonna see them on a very tight leash.
Absolutely, this fun. I'm over here talking about. I wasn't in the rotation when the playoffs started. I came to the first game like everybody else. Where my popcorn? I'm watching too, you know? But what happens, and that's what I feel like as a team, we got to understand is anything can happen, and Coach JB is going to coach for that moment. So a guy could get in foul trouble. A guy could get injured. A guy could just not be playing well, and that's where you go to these guys that have proven it all year long. So I think they will have a short leash, but I think all of the guys are prepared for those moments, and that's why you do the work. So when the playoffs roll around and your number gets called, you show up.
For sure. All right. You want to do some predictions?
I'm with it.
All right. We're going to lock in our Cavs Magic predictions. Before the series starts, when we're recording this.
You can't guess who I'm going to pick.
Don't go anywhere. More Booby's World right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. Hey, make sure you guys go download that Tipico Sportsbook app too. When you do use promo code Booby100, when you bet $25 on the NBA playoffs, you're going to get a $100 bet credit on Tipico. But also check out their Threes Company promotion, guys. Get this. All you have to do, bet a $25 same-game parlay on the NBA playoffs. And every three-pointer that's made, you're going to get a bet credit back into your account. So cheer for threes. I know that was your thing back in the day. So we're just pulling for a lot of threes these playoffs.
Absolutely, man. Shoot it. Shoot it. They came from the playoffs, and this is the perfect time, man. Shoot your shot. Get out there, have some fun with it, man.
Cool. All right, man. We teased it before we went to break. We're back from break. We need some Cavs versus Magic predictions. Obviously, both of us sitting here, I think I could say, are going to pick the Cavs to rectify what happened in the playoffs last year, get out of this first round with a dub. But I need a little bit more, Booby. I need a little bit more analysis. How's it go down? Cavs and how many?
Oh, you won't. See, you can't give me that one because I'm pulling out the brooms. But
wow.
Nah, I don't say that because like you said, in the playoffs, it's hard to win on the road, right? And they say the series never doesn't start until you win on the other team's floor, right?
Yep.
So that's a real thing. And it's a lot of parity in these playoffs. I feel like any small thing can tip the scales either way in a lot of these series. And so for us, I believe using the experience of last season and understanding the value of hitting a team first, right? Because if we didn't experience it, we wouldn't know.
Yep.
So I think understanding the value of that and just knowing now what that level goes up to, I think we approach these games in that way. And I think that's what the key to the series will be for us, the physicality and how uncomfortable we can make them and speed them up out there on the floor.
Absolutely. And dude, they've been talking about what happened last year all summer, all season. It's no secret to anybody. These guys didn't just forget what happened. You know, Jared Allen just had to answer to the question the other night if he regrets the statement that he made saying that the lights were too bright. And he said no. He was like, I've said dumber things in my life and throughout my career. And he said, and it was the truth and that we've learned from that. So I thought that was like a very mature thing to say in that moment, especially too, because it was just one gigantic learning lesson. As much as it stung, you know, it kind of like had to happen. It's weird.
And that's what it's like. I hear everybody talk about it. That's what it is. You have to understand that it's the process of it. You have to go through it. You have to have a moment where the lights are too bright. You have to have a moment where you get knocked on the floor and you understand what it feels like to have to pick yourself up and get stronger. Like, you have to have that because all that does is put an even bigger chip on your shoulder as you move forward as an individual player and on the team that you were on that went through that. Y'all come back even more hungry. And that's what it's about. You just continue to build from there. Most teams don't get it done that first year they get to the mountaintop. There's still a climb once you get to the top.
Yeah. So my prediction last year was Cavs in 5. I'm going with the same prediction.
Yeah.
Cavs in 5 against Orlando.
Yeah.
You would put that in on Tipico too. You could get like that creative, you know, like with the exact outcomes, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is the season that they just get over that hump and, win their first playoff series. Here's another thing, too, people don't talk about enough. Cavs playoff wins without LeBron James. Yeah. I wasn't born.
You
weren't born.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't. Yeah.
they just haven't had a lot of playoff success without him. So I think just winning one series is a very good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, man, we got the young boys, and they're getting to the point now where they understand how tough it is to win in the playoffs. And so we could talk about it till our face turn blue on what they gonna do. But at the end of the day, it's just all about how we come out this weekend and showcase all the stuff that we've learned.
All right, we're going through some other series now.
Yeah,
Let's go around the
NBA. We good there. You know what I mean? We good.
Clippers and Dallas.
You already know I'm going with the Mavs. I feel like the pickups that they made at the end by the trade deadline gave them the physicality that they needed defensively to be versatile and be able to guard guys. And obviously offensively, you got Luka and Kyrie doing their thing. I just think that they on the roll right now. I want to say they were the best. They had the best record after the All-Star break, and I think it'll continue.
Yeah, they're really good. I think of all the NBA teams, the team that I would want to play least in round one is probably Dallas.
Yeah.
And it sucks too, because like the Clippers are a good team. Kawhi, PG, that's a tough draw for them.
Yeah, because right before the playoff All-Star break, they had the best record for a while. So it'll be fun to watch. And that's what I was hinting to earlier. Just the parity of these playoffs make it just so much more fun to be tuned into playoff basketball and just see what happens. Because, again, I don't think you can or anybody can just right now pick a winner, pick a champion.
And even pick a round one. You know, like there's going to be a lot of game sixes, game sevens in round one, and that's where things get crazy because you get some upsets.
That is so much fun, man. That's why you watch the playoffs. That's why I watch basketball. March, April, June is my favorite time of year as a basketball fan, and I'm looking forward to all these matchups.
All right, we're keeping it rolling here, Booby. Okay. Minnesota and Phoenix. Now, Karl Anthony Towns back for the Timberwolves. Snuck in 2 games at the end of the regular season, but they don't look great against the Phoenix Suns.
Right. I want to go with the Timberwolves because the one weakness that the Suns have, I feel like, is size. They are small up front with KD, and I think Nurkic is he's not really a bully when it comes to defensively. He's not blocking shots.
Right.
So the Timberwolves come in with Gobert, Naz Reid, Karl Anthony Towns, Jaden Daniels. They got all this size up front. So I think that'll cause problems for them. But a team that you don't want to see in the playoffs is a team that's built for the playoffs. I feel like the Phoenix Suns built this team with those 3 superstars for when the possessions come down, when teams can't win just by running up and down the floor. And now y'all got to guard these 3 guys in the half court, and one of them will be on the floor throughout the entire game. So I'm going to go Suns.
All right.
I talked myself into it. I started off Timbs, and I ended up Suns.
No, good pick. I mean, yeah, it's hard to pick against Book, KD. You know, like it's just a lot of star power that's proven it in the playoffs already. Absolutely. All right, we'll stay out west before we go to break. We'll go Denver and LA. Could I say before we I hate this draw for LeBron. I think the Nuggets are so good, and I just want to see LeBron continue to win. But this is such a difficult round one matchup for the Lakers. I got the Nuggets here somewhat easily. It pains me to say it.
Easily?
It's never easy, but somewhat easily.
Do you remember the Western Conference Finals last year?
Yeah.
It was not easily.
It was pretty easy.
I mean, what was it? What was it? Gentleman sweep? What was it?
I think they just swept them. I mean,
so,
every game was close though.
So that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
When I look at some of the shots, I go back to Joker making last year.
I mean, that's the thing though. Like they still got Joker.
But to that point though, Nick, confidence is major in our sport, and I feel like they were playing at a confident level last year that I haven't seen yet. With Jamal Murray being out, D'Lo's playing a lot better than he was playing last year. I think that's a key matchup in that series. If D'Lo can play like the D'Lo, don't trade me D'Lo.
Yeah.
If he can stay in that space, I think he gives them that third option that gives them another punch to compete with him. And I'm going to go, again, I think every round I've picked the upset. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go Lakers over Nuggets too.
Wow, Lakers right now plus 250 on Tipico, so definitely a good underdog pick.
I'm going Lakers. Yeah, Lakers, Suns, and Mavs.
All right, I like it. We're going to lock in some Eastern Conference playoff predictions. Don't go anywhere. More Booby's World right after this. Boom. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. Before we went to break, we were locking in some playoff predictions from around the association. We went out to the Western Conference first, so now we'll return here to the East. This one is interesting because it's going to be so hard to predict. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers, we just got to see the availability of Giannis. That part is the missing link. Because
go ahead.
If Giannis is missing, don't let Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers get hot. They could score a lot of points. And obviously for the Bucks, you're taking away their best defender and offensive player.
For sure. I was looking forward to it because didn't Tyrese run off with the ball earlier at the beginning of the year?
This was the revenge. Dude, we were talking about, I forgot all about that.
He said, give me this 50 point.
And they actually said that they wanted it for like Lillard, who had hit like some random career milestone. The story got so crazy. Yeah,
that was fun. And that makes for the best playoff matchups when you got a little chippiness, when you got a little bad energy between the two. But to your point, Giannis availability, because Indiana showed them that even with Giannis, that they could beat him. And so I think to that point, if Giannis plays, it's still a tough series, but I think Milwaukee wins. If Giannis doesn't play, I'm going Indiana.
Listen to this. I've never seen I have, but rarely do you see odds like this on Tipico. They just kind of don't know. So they're both, the Bucks are minus 114, the Pacers are minus 107. So you literally just take your pick.
Nothing.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it's gonna be close, but I think that just speaks to how close it's gonna be.
Man, it's just so much parity, man. It's so much parity in the game. And when you add the element of injuries and guys not being in the lineup, that really makes it, even when we talk about, I know when we get to the Knicks.
That's next.
Okay, I'm going to let you get there first. Because, when you get, they don't have Julius Randle. So are we banking on them, being able to slow the ball down and now only be able to depend on Jalen Brunson to get it done? Obviously, it's easier to do in the regular season. But now when a team has a week to prepare for it, is it the same now? Yeah. And you got Joel Embiid coming back. And that's one for me. He didn't look great physically when I watched the last game.
No, what's with that? You think they rushed him back, which you obviously never want to speculate on what a medical team decided to do, but he didn't look like the same physically dominant Embiid. He looked kind of passive, not really putting as much force down with some of his stuff. It just wasn't the same at all.
So I can't give the Cavs credit for easing Don back and then not do the same for
that's true.
Philly. So I guess I got to look at it like that. If now that Philly has gotten into the playoffs and he'll get a few more days here to work some more, and then he'll have a 4-game series to build. If I'm New York, I think every game Joel Embiid is going to get better and more comfortable and more closer to himself. And so that's a scary thought. So I'm gonna take a step back off, because originally I was just gonna be he doesn't look healthy, I'm gonna go Knicks. But I think he'll start to get more comfortable with his leg and how to play and how to move defensively, because that's why I was worried. Offensively, it wasn't that bad, but defensively, he wasn't getting no stops. But I think if he can figure it out, I'm going to go 76ers in that one as well.
I like that too. I think just the fact that they've been around the block before, not that the Knicks haven't, but, the pairing of Embiid and Maxey kind of feel like they're ready to make a little bit of noise.
Yeah.
Definitely in the first round against the Knicks. That's going to be another crazy series that could go 6-7 games.
Sure.
This first round is going to be awesome.
Yeah, man. A great time to be an NBA fan, because I'm picking underdogs, but I could very easily pick the other team in every matchup we talking about, and that's the best basketball to watch.
All right, let's go Booby for 3. We just gave you our predicts for every NBA series that's set. Let's go top 3 NBA playoff teams remaining. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on just the best 3 pound-for-pound teams left in this thing.
I mean, you go obviously the top. We would agree on the top 2. I don't know. I'm gonna go not Dallas. I'm gonna go Boston, Denver.
Okay. Yeah, you got to.
I mean, unless we taking them two out, and then that would make it a more interesting conversation because those two feel like you got to put up.
All right, should we do that? Let's take the.
Yeah,
all right, so you can't say Boston, you can't say Denver.
And outside of that, who do we say? Yeah, look, don't get scared now, Nick. That's actually a really tough one. Dallas, I gotta go with Dallas. The way that they've been playing.
You throw OKC in there?
Why am I hating on them? I haven't even said a single word. I'm just counting.
We didn't even
ask if
because they're in the play. They got to wait for the play-in opponent. Yeah. So I think they belong in that top 3 convo with no.
Okay, see, I apologize because I hadn't even. I'm the experience conversation just took them right out of my thoughts. I was just like, oh yeah, they can't win. They too young, but they here, and I think they ready for whoever they got to face. Especially it would be Pelicans or Kings too.
Intriguing round 1 for them. Yeah. All right, so we got them. Dallas. Man, the East is just such a bloodbath that, like, because, like, Milwaukee, we don't know because of Giannis's availability.
And can I pick the Cavs, or is that not on my
No, you
list?
can pick the Cavs.
Yeah, I'm going to go Cavs then.
All right.
I'm going to go Cavs because I feel like we overall have our roster back intact, and we get to playing like ourselves defensively. We have just as good a chance as anybody else in that Eastern Conference to make a run.
You know what the guys are going to do to you now that we did this segment and we took out Denver and Boston? The social guys are going to clip you saying that your top 3 teams remaining are Dallas, OKC, and the Cavs and putting into a graphic. And people are going to be like, Booby got CTE playing basketball.
Hey, bring it, man. I'm all for having basketball talk. And if those are my 3 teams, I'm pretty sure I can prove why.
All right. Yeah, so we'll maybe have to turn that into a graphic and get some people talking.
Let them be my best 3. Whatever you want to do, Nick. You can put your best 3 against mine. I bet I'll come out on top after the first round.
All right, I like it. Let's step aside. When we return, we're going down memory lane. We got a lot of show left. Don't go anywhere. More Booby's World with some playoff stories right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World, right here on the Big Plate Network, talking playoff stories, playoff experiences. And I know we talked about it last year, but we've talked about all year just how this time of year things are different. You even said it on this show, like you walk into the arena, you see the shirts draped over the chairs, the popcorn starts smelling different. Does it change your routine at all?
Nope.
From a player, like you get to the arena any earlier, like nothing like that?
Nah, it doesn't. That part doesn't change because your comfort is in your routine. Your comfort is what you've done all year long. The time you go to sleep, what time you get on the court and work out, the routine that you go through before the game, all of it stays the same. Like basketball players are probably some of the most superstitious guys you'll ever meet. If anything is off in that routine, we feel like we're going to have a off night.
Yeah. And then playoff stories, just playoff memories.
Yeah.
Coming out of the tunnel for your first playoff. Now, we don't have many guys on this current Cavs team that'll be their first playoffs. I think like CPJ, who's hurt, Sam Merrill, who wasn't on the Cavs active roster last year, but like outside of that,
there's nothing that can prepare you for it. I didn't know what it was going to feel like until I ran out and I felt that energy. And before the game started, the fire from the Jumbotron came out. It was that I think they turned the degrees up on that thing. It was a different feeling. And then even just watching the guys bump on the floor, I was like, damn, like this is basketball. Like this is what I dreamed about being a part of my whole life because the best players, all of the best players in the world are extremely locked in and all fighting for one goal. It's some of the most intense basketball you'll ever experience. And that's the part when people ask me about if I miss the game of basketball. I miss playing in playoff basketball.
Yeah,
because you'll never find that experience
And
anyway.
then does it change too? Like this is something we've never talked about. Does it ramp up like round to round? So like round 1, like yeah, it's crazy. But then like do you realize like round 2, round 3, like this is even crazier than the last? Or is it somewhat like just like this is as competitive as it gets right out the gate?
The intensity don't change. But what ends up happening is it'll be like first round, I think about my series, like first round, you got Gilbert Arenas, Antoine Jameson, Karan Butler. You like, damn, they good. And so you get to the next round, and then you got Vince Carter, Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson. You like, damn, more? And then you get to the next round, and it's Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton.
Yeah.
So you realize that, like, it's going to be so many things have to go in your favor for you to be an NBA champion because there's just so many talented guys in the world going for the same crown. I just realized at that point, because if we would have won, when we got to the finals, who was waiting on us? Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Tony Parker. So it's like you understand just how hard it is to win in the playoffs, but it also turns you up because you like now you competing against the best in the world, and if you can showcase that talent, that's what it's all about.
And then we talked about too a couple weeks ago, just playing in LA, playing on bigger stages. Yeah. Well, here come the playoffs. You're on national TV every single game, so that's got to be kind of cool too. Especially like when you were coming up, especially some of the later years, like social media was slowly starting to become a thing. Like how was that? Just going from like playing in Cleveland every night to okay, now I'm on this national stage with LeBron. Like what was that like?
I guess for me, it's a little different because I had played against and played with him prior to that point. So once I got to it was like traveling with the Beatles, I will say. With him, like everybody, like the fans are waiting outside at the hotels and every game. But you get used to the bright lights of the TV because with Brian, we, like you said in the playoffs, if you playing 41 home games, 41 home games, 37 of them, probably 36 of them on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, for sure.
For us that year.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, every time we played on Thursdays for TNT. So you kind of get used to that, like, being in the spotlight. But it's just more so that even with LeBron, there's just the added pressure because of what he wants out of it.
Yeah.
Like, every LeBron James team is a title contender. You don't get we can lose and grow and try to figure it out. Every time we on the floor is to try to win and win now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that because we've seen some guys kind of like we've seen guys, I'm sitting right next to him, rise to the moment of playing with LeBron. Right. But I feel like we've seen some guys like where that pressure might be a little too much and like a really good player becomes maybe not so great come playoff time playing with LeBron, like because there is pressure to it, right?
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily him putting the pressure on where I've heard people say like maybe he's a bad teammate because of that, like because of that factor. But the fact that he wants to win these games and the pressure for him to win is that high is just naturally on you too. And in a lot of cases, I think some of the guys struggle in playing with him that need the ball a little bit more because in most cases, he going to be the one making the decision. So I thrive because I'm a guy that can stand over there, and if you decide you want to go help on him, good luck for you because I'm going to shoot the eyeballs out. But some guys need to shoot a couple, dribble it a little bit, and catch a rhythm too. And that's why in some cases you see them play a little better when they on a team where they can have more touches. So each is his own, and it's different. But I will say, playing with LeBron, he's the best teammate I ever had, and he makes the game so easy for everybody on the floor. So I don't think guys dread playing with him, you know, because you in every big game.
And then we're talking too about just some of the matchups that you had early. How about like the team that talked the most? I think I know your answer, but like of all the teams that you had, to play, like just the group that kind of talked the most trash throughout a 7-game series, because that's another thing that happens in the playoffs is just like you're playing the same team over and over and over again. Yes. Tension starts to rise.
You really like stop liking them as people. You might see them in the summertime, but like at that moment you really stop liking them. I would have to give that nod to Boston.
Okay.
Yeah, Boston. I walked on the floor and KG was like, "Who this little motherfucker? I'm like, bro, what does that have to do with basketball, bro? Like, what do we? I'm here to hoop. He like, oh, hey, Rondo, go with that little motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, right there, you snap like, okay, this what we doing, and it turns into like, a grudge match. Like you really out there be scrapping. But to me, those are the most fun basketball games to be a part of when y'all just out there just really. If ready to fight is more so about the scrap than it is the actual game.
And we've heard that like from other NBA guys that like the Boston fans are crazy too.
Oh no, they say some stuff.
Yeah,
like, they say some stuff in there. I a lot of that I can't repeat because Boston is probably one of the worst places to play in as a visiting competitor because they don't give a damn about nothing.
And that doesn't happen. Like, I mean, obviously things could happen wherever, but like elsewhere around the league, like it's not as like popularized to know that like Boston is just an insane place to play.
Yeah, because it's cool. You could talk about me. You could heckle me, but don't get the disrespect of my family and like don't take it there because I'm just shooting the basketball into a hoop. I'm not doing nothing to hurt you or anything you got going on in your life. So I don't understand why it's so intense out there. But Boston is one of those sports towns. Like, you know, you just have those towns like the Philly. I heard them booing them in the first half, and they still end up winning the game. I'm like, what kind of fan base is this? But it's like that in Cleveland too. If you don't bring it, they pretty rough out here too.
Absolutely. We gotta win. We gotta win round one. We're stepping aside. Last break. When we return on Booby's World, we're gonna get you Booby's keys to winning round one against the Orlando Magic. Don't go anywhere. All that and more right after this. Welcome on back into Booby's World right here on the Big Play Network. Had some fun throughout this show, Booby, but now it's time. We got to put a bow on this thing. Yeah. We need your keys. What do the Cavs need to do to beat the Orlando Magic?
Be themselves. That's the major key. The major key is be themselves. We talk about all year long the culture that we're creating, where the identity, where we're going to play hard, tough, physical, be the hardest working team on the floor. And if we bring that mentality and that culture to the floor, we'll have everything we want and I think it'll just make the game easier. So establish our identity early and just get out there and be ourselves, man. Be physical.
That sounded like you were getting ready to cut like a WWE promo right there. Like that we could have put like a music bed under and like a hype video on top of.
Be yourself, man. Be you. If the Cavs play Cavalier basketball, it'll be a fun weekend in the city of Cleveland.
All right. How about this? I didn't prepare Booby for this at all.
Today was I was ready all day. Yeah.
All right. On the count of three, we're gonna name the player that nobody's talking about that's gonna step up and get the Cavs out of round one.
Count of three.
Count of three. 1, 2, 3. Max Strus. Wow. All right, tell me why.
Because I watched last night on NBA TV. I was watching the play-in game from last year, and he had 29. And his energy and what he does on the floor, I feel like is some of what we were missing last year, and it just opens the floor for everybody else. And I saw last year that he's not afraid of the moment. He got out there and did it, and I feel like he'll do it for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the reason the Cavs brought him here. Like, just go watch any of the playoffs from the Miami Heat run to the NBA Finals last year, and Max Strus was a pivotal part of those games. That's why the Heat were kind of just a lackluster middle-of-the-road team this year, because they missed his presence.
There you go.
Cavs needed shooting. Cavs needed physicality. You got a dude that can bring you both with Max Strus. I think he's kind of like the secret kind of X factor that nobody's really talking about or gaming for.
Stay out my brain, bro. Don't try to give me a 1, 2, 3 countdown thinking I'm gonna say something else.
We gotta start doing that.
Just so you can steal my pick, bro. You could.
We said that at the same time too.
Like, we did.
We cut that, slow it down. That we were in lockstep.
I think we know. I think we understand the value that he brings to the floor. Him and Georgie.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys follow along with Booby's World on social media. Throw us a follow on Instagram right now. We got some activities and some activations. We're going to be outside for the NBA playoffs.
Hey, Monday
we're going to be.
The game is Booby's World will be in the streets, man. If you come into the game, don't be surprised if you see me outside, man. I got a question for you. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that. Follow along with the show, YouTube, Instagram, X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days. Follow along at Booby's World Show. We appreciate you guys tuning in to the show every week throughout NBA season. We appreciate you guys tuning in on Bally Sports. Make sure to keep it locked and loaded because the playoffs are here and we're not going anywhere. We'll see you guys next week.